So welcome back to the Man That Can Project podcast. This podcast shares stories and experiences from men on how to create self-awareness and gain clarity around who you are as an individual, right? So there are too many men out there struggling, so let's help each other become the man that can. So on today's episode, we're talking about working hard. I got sent an article from a really good mentor of mine and a great mate, and it had a few key points on how to really improve success in your life. And one of the biggest things that stood out to me was that work hard quote, which we all hear about. And it's not necessarily about working longer, it's about working harder and being more efficient and doing the things that really need to get done that we often try to avoid. So I hope you get a lot out of this episode. Remember, I really appreciate everyone who's taken the time to listen to this. And I'm glad you guys are getting value. So there are other ways that you can get value through the Facebook group, which you can find the link in my bio. You can take a photo of the episode that you're listening to, share and tag it. I was about to say shag it for share and tag it, or just send topics over to my Instagram so that if you have questions you want answered or you want to learn more about certain experiences that I may be able to help with, let me know and I'll get those podcasts out in the coming weeks. As for now, enjoy the episode. All right, so thanks everyone who's tuning in. Let's get cranking. So I just got sent an article by my a mentor, and it was just like on a few of the things that it takes to be successful. And one of the points that really stood out to me, hey Eddie, how you doing, was working hard. Now it was talking about obviously business success and stuff like that, and why at some points like you have to understand that hard work, I feel so awkward actually having the camera set up and not having to hold it. Why it's important to actually work hard and not just sort of sell this dream that the hard work doesn't need to be done. So, what I feel, and I'm guilty of this over the last couple of months, I've been sort of saying, you just got to start the journey, and it's a day-by-day process. But when I go back to my story, when I first started wanting to work on my mindset and change who I was as an individual, I went into it full ball. I went into it really hard, to the point that obviously when you're having to do a lot of self-reflection and understand who you are as a person and bring out those pieces about yourself that you don't like, right? Bring up all those insecurities, the habits that you have that you don't agree with, the actions, the way you communicate, all that sort of stuff. If you do that all at once, it's a lot to deal with, right? It's a huge amount of, a big realization to deal with. Let me just turn this TV off. Should annoy me. Okay, so it's a lot to deal with. So when we're looking at doing a lot of work and people wanting to change their lives, change who they are, change the outcome, it's an understanding. So I'm going to turn this TV off. I have my headphones in, so I didn't even realize it, but now that sounds ridiculous. All right, we're back, and there's no distractions. So couldn't listen to that fucking stupid ad stuff on TV. All right, so we're back. Yeah, so the moment you decide you want to start changing who you are as a person, there's two ways you can go about it, right? You can start doing it slowly over a period of time, which I feel is easier, right? You're not going to get the results a lot quicker, and it is harder to stay motivated, because if you're not seeing the results, you start questioning why you're doing it. Okay, but what I did, and I think I do this with all aspects of my life, and I'm not saying it's the best way to do things. There's a lot of times where I go, I wish I took that a little bit more slowly, but I went into it hardcore, right? I changed my environment. I changed who I was hanging around, so I changed the way I was eating. I changed what I was listening to, what I was reading, right? I completely stopped watching all sports, and I'm a sports lover. I just went away from the TV, didn't want to be around the culture that the football put around me. I didn't want to watch people who were living their dream life or whatever, when I should be working on mine, working on who I was as a person. So I started working really, really hard, right, on all aspects of who I was. And that was so confronting. I had to deal with so much in a small period of time. And obviously I'm still dealing with stuff, but that first 2 years was so fucking intense, but I grew immensely. So much so that people who hadn't met me 5 years ago, when I tell them or share my story, they go, I can't imagine you being like that. It doesn't come across like that. Yet then you'll also see some people who are slowly changing a little bit at a time. And it's easy, what I find, or what I feel, is people who sort of want to take it nice and slow, it's easy to have that crab in a bucket mentality. The people that they're surrounded by, or the environment that they're surrounded in, you'll have people pulling you back. Because people can catch on that you're making a change before you've already really started making it. So they want to keep you where they are. And it's, some people do it intentionally, others do it because they have to look at themselves and realize that, hey, if you're growing, I should be, but I don't feel like it. So let's keep you where I am so I feel safe. Okay, so when you're going back to the whole work hard image, it's the same when you want to start working on yourself, just as it's the same as it is, if you're wanting to, lose some weight, get into shape, right? If you wanted to change your finances, if you wanted to change your career, if you wanted to change anything, you got to put hard work in, and there's going to be a period of imbalance, right? Where you have to sacrifice other things that you want to be doing in your life, right? And like I was saying before, one of my trade-offs was I was not watching sport, which I love sport. I was not watching it for 2 years. I didn't watch any sport. I got to the point in my brain where I was like, anyone who's watching sport's an idiot. They should be working on themselves and changing their own life. Since changed that point of view, but that's how hardcore I went into it. So when we're going back to that whole work hard, what does that actually look like in order for you to get to where you want to be? Right? Do you have to start attending, hey guys who are tuning in, do you have to start attending events? Do you have to start reading? Do you have to distance yourself from people who may be having a bad influence on you? What is it that you need to do? What is that hard work? I had to unlearn, and I'm still unlearning, so many bad habits, so many bad thought patterns that I had. And in order for me to replace that, I have to have my head in the books. I have to be hanging around good people. I have to be doing things that are gonna replace that habit, right? So that's where the hard work comes in. That's where the sacrifice comes in. So it's the way I look at it, the way I've always looked at it, because I love numbers, is like compounding interest. So 2 is 2 is 4, 4 is 4, 16, so on. Like it grows exponentially. So I always said to myself, when I got into this personal development journey and wanted to change who I was as a person, I was like, fuck it. If I go hard now and deal with all the uncomfortable stuff that makes it challenging and makes me really rethink this whole journey, I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna exponentially grow. Right? The opportunities that are gonna come into my life are gonna be exponential as opposed to what they were. So if I can get to, a 6 out of 10 in the next 2 years in self-confidence, self-esteem, and clarity around who I am, in 10 years time I'm gonna be at a 10, and there's gonna still be people who are at a 2. So to me, when I was thinking about that, I was like, okay, it works like compound interest. So if I wanna have a great quality of life, rather than trying to figure it out over the next fucking 30 years and get to 50 years of age and be like, I have no idea who I am, why have I been doing this job, why am I in this relationship, why am I hanging out with this friend, I wanted to sort that shit out from the start. Right? I wanted to get clear on who I wanted to be in a relationship with. I wanted to get clear on who I was as a person, what I wanted to do. I wanted to get clear on what kind of people I wanted in my life, what things I wanted to be doing to spend my spare time on, hobbies, etc. I wanted to dial that in before I was 30. I wanted to work hard to have an idea around what that looked like. And obviously I'm still learning and growing, but I had more clear than I've ever been, and I'm still 28, right? So I've nailed it before 30. So what happens by the time I get to 30 or even now is that all the decisions that I'm making, I'm getting a lot, let's say I didn't figure it out till I was 50, okay, I'm getting an extra 20 years of doing things, building relationships with people that are adding value to me, challenging me, doing all that sort of stuff. So it's enhanced an extra 20 years of my life. Does that make sense? That's why I'm a massive believer in working hard now, why you're starting things out, why you're getting in early, because the compounding effect of what you're doing right now is going to be much greater than if you leave it till when you're 40, 50, 60 years of age, right? You don't want to be, and look at your parents, for those who've had challenging family relationships, you look at that and you go, do I want to end up like my parents? If you don't, then start doing something now to change that, right? And you get to a point, like I was just saying earlier, where you question whether the challenges and all of that sort of stuff is worth it. And like I said on yesterday's live, when I was at Jordan Peterson last week, he just said, like, for people who feel like they don't have a purpose, look at your biggest challenges, because that gives you purpose. It gives you something to work on, Right? So if you lack self-esteem, you've got a lot of insecurities, you're overweight, right? You're mentally unhealthy, whatever it is, address it and start fucking working on it. It gives you purpose, but you've got to understand that somewhere along the way, when you're making the changes, you're going to have to say, right, I'm going to commit to it, because there's going to be a lot of obstacles in the way, a lot of setbacks that are going to try and make me go back to who I was, the safe zone, or where I came from, that safe zone. That's all going to happen along the way. And it comes down to having that committed mindset, or really drawing the line in the sand where you're like, okay, I'm going to just fucking go at it until something changes. And it's exactly what I'm doing right now. 5 years later, I'm still fucking doing it. I haven't got it all figured out. That's why I'm sharing with you guys, because every time I jump on a live, I'm learning how to articulate myself, because I don't say things perfectly, and I always have conversations with people who say, why'd you say that? It didn't make sense. But to me, I'm trying to learn how to articulate what I want to say in the best way. But as I read, learn, and grow, and have conversations, like, I'm piecing it all together from my own experiences and trying to share it. Well, I'm not trying, I am sharing it. And along the way, some of you guys are getting value, some of you are looking at me and going, what a fucking twit, which is fine. It doesn't bother me either way, okay? But the thing is that if you're spending time on here listening to this, if you're listening to my podcast, right? If you've been on my website, if you've done any of that and you're getting value from the emails, whatever it is, that's awesome. That's some growth. But then it's about going above and beyond, right? Whether it's getting some coaching, whether it's listening to other people's podcasts, right? Getting coaching from other people, it doesn't matter. It's about actually starting to implement the stuff you're learning. You can't just come on here every day and be like, yes, I'm getting motivated from these lives, and not go away and do anything. I'd rather you listen to one of my podcasts or my lives a week and then spend the next 6 days doing something, right? Does anyone ever have it completely worked out? What does having it completely worked out even mean? Growth is different for everyone, and you're not a complete twit. Thank you for thinking I'm not a complete twit. Exactly, having it worked out is different for everyone. That's why this process and journey is about people, like I was just saying, taking the action on things that they're learning and then implementing it and then going, I enjoy that, that works well for me, it adds value to my life and it increases my fulfillment. And then they go to the next box, it's like, that doesn't really tick that box for me, so I'm not gonna do any more of that. But people, and this is the thing now, so many people are chasing $1 million. So many people are chasing this laptop lifestyle. So many people are chasing all this shit, this dream body, all of this stuff, right? And what happens is they've never had it, right? So they think that's what it means to have it worked out, or that's what success means. And then they get there, and like you just said, Nat, it's different for everyone. Success is different for everyone. Even though we've got these standards of what people think it should be, it's different for everyone. So what's going to be fulfilling for me, or success for me, is different to what it is for you guys listening, right? So the fact that everyone's got these, we adopt these goals, which is like to have $1 million, to have a Porsche, to have a house on the beach, or whatever it is. It's like, how do you know that's for you? Because you've never had it until you start doing the internal work and getting clear on who you are as a person and what you want to achieve. Does that make sense? Hope it makes sense. Because there are too many people. One of the biggest things that I notice from a lot of my coaching clients is they all feel like they're, thanks for taking your time. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Really appreciate it. Someone can have $1 million and still be a knobhead, and it so does. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, guys, and I don't know if you've listened to my podcast from, I think it was a month ago, about money, and it's like, for the last 5 years, I've been chasing money. Like, I thought my level of success, or just, I thought my freedom came from earning X amount of money, right? And the last 5 years I've been working my ass off to do that, and I've finally done that, right? I've achieved that goal, and nothing's changed. Nothing. Like, yeah, I get to do nicer things, but I still feel like the same person. I still have the same challenges. I still wake up every day and I love what I do, but I'm also like, well, I thought when I made this, like when I hit this benchmark, I was going to have more free time to surf, travel, and do all these things. But nothing changes, because we got to be creating a lifestyle that allows us to do that anyway, right? Or you got to be growing into a person who you want to be, that allows you to do the things that you want, right? And what I realized was that I love coaching and I love doing this stuff, and that's what I'm always going to do. So no matter how much money I make or how much success I have, I'm still going to be doing the same thing, right? It doesn't change for me. And it's not going to change for you guys. Having $1 million is literally not going to change that fulfillment level. You're going to still be craving that same stuff that you've been craving the whole time. You just, money may maybe make it easier to afford some things, give you a bit more time, right? Maybe make you feel better about yourself. All these sorts of things. It does enhance what you already are. I get that. But for me, because a lot of my fulfillment comes around from this, and I'm not saying everyone is like that, but that's where a lot of my fulfillment comes from. Having more money doesn't allow that, because me saying I want to take a step back is taking a step back from my fulfillment. Does that make sense? So for those who are, striving for that level of success, that nice car and stuff, I would start saying, stop focusing on the external shit, get clear on the internal stuff so you know what you're working on. 100%, I always listen to you. Thanks, man, appreciate it for tuning in. Freedom comes from 100% being happy with yourself and ensuring you're content in the life that you want. Exactly. And in saying that as well, no one's ever happy every single day of their life. I'm yet to meet someone who, doesn't have the speed bumps, and that's life. Like, it's really embracing every day for what it is, right? There's good days, bad days, happy days, sad days, right? It doesn't matter. That was a little rhyme. I must have learned that from a kid's cartoon or something. But that's what you've got to be mindful of, right? As long as you're on track, you've got a bit of purpose, you're working on challenges, you're growing as an individual, right? You're going to be feeling a lot better, and you align it with stuff that you value. And then just work hard, put the work hard. Jordan Peterson was even saying the other night, it's more so about having responsibility. The more responsibility people get, the more purpose they feel they have, right? So, and I agree with that. I feel like the more responsibility I've got since I've owned my own business, since I've been working with people, I felt like I've had more purpose, and it's given me more drive to work harder, to improve myself, to get out of my comfort zone, and all of a sudden my life's been doing amazing things. There's still things I 100% have to work on, and I am working on, but I'm moving in the right direction. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Once again, if you're getting value, jump onto my email list at LachieStewartCoaching.net, or head over to the podcast. If you just go on LachieStewartCoaching.net, you can find email list, podcast, all that sort of stuff. But please keep sharing my content if you're getting value from it, because the more you guys tag, comment, do all that sort of stuff, the more my message gets out there, and it'll be a great help. So I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for spending a couple of minutes with me today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachie Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.